Oh yeah, party people. Jason Gully here, representing Tacos and Turntables podcast with my man Vicious V. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. We got a lot of cool old school artists coming in with different topics. You know, taking you back in the day with behind the scenes of some of the freestyle movement, as well as hip hop and old school. We also offer merch on the Tacos and Turntables site, just like this shirt right here. Keeping it old school. That's what we are. So that's what we're representing. Stay tuned into the podcast. Towards the end, we're going to be doing contests and drop giveaways and stuff like that, and show you where you can get the drops, where you can get the merch, and upcoming stuff that we're doing with the podcast.
Hey guys, we're so very blessed and excited. We got ODM from Lighter Shade of Brown in the house, man. How you doing, ODM?
Hey, what's up, Vicious V?
What's up, man? We got Jason Gully from One Stop DJ Shop in the house also. And
what's up, Jason?
I'm so excited to talk to you, bro. Been a fan since day one, and just want to chat with you about, the background. How'd you get started in music? I saw a thing. You guys got an award. I think it was last week, right? You guys got an award from your hometown, and
yeah,
it was so cool to see that, bro. I got inspired by it. It almost put a tear in my eye because I could see that so much work went into what you guys did as far as musically, but also you inspired a lot of people, man, and that's really dope. How did you guys get started? How did you guys form the group?
Well, I started back when I was in high school here in Riverside. I started rapping, doing my whole thing at the lunch benches, which most cats do, doing battle raps, this and that, and with the other cats that rap. And well, to be honest with you, how I got my connect into the industry was through an artist. Her name was Big Lady K. Now, Big Lady K, if you do your research, or you can Google her later, just an overview, she had a record out at the time on Priority Records, first female on Priority Records to be signed. So she just happened to be from Riverside. So she got transferred over to my school. We connected, we vibed, we hit it off. And she was like, I was like, like any other cat trying to, get on. I was like, yo, I says, put me on with your manager, man. Like, how can I be down? I'm trying to do this rap thing. She was like, all right, let me hear you bust. So I was like, all right. So, I did a little verse for her, whatnot. Obviously, she was impressed. She was like, man, you dope, this and that. He goes, I'm going to walk you over here to the payphone at school, and I'm going to have you rap over the phone for my manager. I said, let's get it. So boom, in goes the quarter. I'm on the phone. My manager, Cliff Ritchie, he gets on and he was like, hey, how you doing, this and that. So I just spit a cool, which I didn't even know what a 16 bar was, a verse at that time. You learn that later on. But I think I was doing 100 bars back then because I didn't know when to stop, But I spit this verse that I had, and he loved it. He was impressed. So what he did we connected on a day in my hometown to where he brought down our producer, one of our future producers, DJ Jammin' James. And we recorded a demo tape inside, at my house. And he brought his 4-track, whatnot. And I think I did it was like a 3-song demo right then and there. So, because see, the plan was that I was going to be the first, quote unquote, Chicano, Mexican American from the West Coast rap artist, to get a record deal, be put on mainstream. Because at this time, you had, Melloman Ace was already out with Mentirosa. We're talking, this is 89. I think it was 89 to be exact. And you had Melloman Ace out. And then so after shopping my deal for a few months, lo and behold, Kid Frost comes out with This Is For La Raza. And then after that happened, it was like, all right, we're running to the races here. My manager was like, look, we got to put you together with someone, man. And that's what he did. And there's where I was introduced through my partner, DTX, through my DJ at the time, DJ Fabe Love. If you look right here, this is the original cover to be later on, Brown and Proud. This is Fabian, our DJ, Bobby, DTX, and myself. So Fabian hooked me up with little Bobby because they went to school together, right? High school. So long story short, we connected, we were put together, and we started doing demos. Within like a year, we finally got signed to Quality Records, and that was for a single deal with an option for an album. So I'll stop right there.
Man, so let me get this straight. So basically, it was almost like a chance encounter, right? Because if that person wouldn't have moved to your school or transferred, who knows what would have happened, right? That's what it sounds like. I mean, that's how everything kind of spawned off from there.
Absolutely, bro. And you know what? The crazy thing is, if you go in hindsight, I mean, in retro, going back to my middle school where I grew up in Orange County, I was just rapping there at the lunch benches. That's where I first started. And then my family moved to Riverside, which is about another 35 minutes away. I had stopped rapping and then I picked it back up again because, you know, I was trying to battle these fools over here out in the IE in the Inland Empire. But yeah, hadn't I made that move either to Riverside, dude, who knows? I mean, I was getting a lot of trouble when I was a little travieso, you know what I'm saying?
So destiny, man, destiny happened, bro. Because I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did, and many people are glad it did because what you guys did, man, it was so influential, so groundbreaking, and you're still doing shows. You still, you know, you guys got so many hits. How did that come about? So you had the first single chronologically, right? You had the first single, and I'm sure, obviously, it did very well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the first single was a regional hit. You know, I say that because that's the one that got the buzz out there. It was TJ Nights, and we sampled the Eagles, you know, one of these nights. We went down to TJ, shot the video, and then boom, shot it to mainstream radio. We first started getting airplay in our hometown here in Riverside, Inland Empire. And then this was before LA didn't even touch it. I don't think they ever played it. We had a couple stations in the Southwest. Texas, I think, got on board. Arizona, I think, were one of the first early adopters to get on board with that song. But it wasn't until we dropped Latin Active, which was the second single, and that's the one that really just started, you know, taking off in different markets. I mean, such as even up in the Bay Area, man. I mean, we were, you know, we were always up there, bro. And like I said, just with Teardrop and Shiro and this, I mean, it just made sense. It was for the clubs, and there's where we started taking off alongside with touring more and you know, putting in our groundwork, as you would say, to do that promo run.
Can you tell me about the production of that song, the writing, man? It's I mean, like I said, it's a hit. You could play it today, and it would pack the dance floor. It still does. Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit of background on that, man? How that came together? Because it's such a dope song.
So we, you know, we come back, we all do, I'm sure, as such as yourself. And you guys, we were from that old school, man, that 80s, you know what I mean? That whether it's West Coast, whether it's hip hop in general, funk, that whole era. So I think we wanted to do something from back then. We were like, man, this is what we grew up on. This is our backyard boogie, you know what I mean? So we started digging in the crates, man. We were like, well, shoot, you know, we tossed a couple of ideas around. I think we went with Divine Sounds, What People Do for Money. Then it went over to some Malcolm McLaren. And then before you knew it, we ended up with Royal Clash, Radioactivity. So Jammin' James went ahead and put it together along with DJ Fabe, and just came out with the instrumental. We started writing to it because we wanted that club song, right? And that was one thing on this particular Brown and Proud album, is we call it versus style. We want just different types of, we didn't want the same genre of music on every track. So that's why on Lighter Shade, we take it to the park, we take it to the club, we take it to the streets, you know what I'm saying? And so with Latin Active, this was the one where we went into the studio. We just put down our vocals, man, just came alive. Me and DWTX, you know, our chemistry was just so dope. And then adding the flavor with Teardrop. And of course, one of the first, if not the first, you know, Chicano rapper out there, Teardrop in the middle verse. And, you know, the story behind that is the original song that was out. Teardrop wasn't on that verse, on that song. It was DJ Fabe Love. But I think between our record label, Quality, and our management, they decided, you know, we need a female. We need something different on the second verse. So that's when we brought in Teardrop, and man, the magic just happened after that.
I have a question about the Teardrop thing. It was the question I was running by you earlier, B.
Yeah.
So the first time we got the cassette here in Modesto, she referred herself as a Mexican female. I can't remember the exact line, how she said it, but then when it came out again as a hit, I noticed they flipped the word to Latin.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up, Jason. That is very, very important, and there's always a reason behind that.
Yeah.
So when we dropped it, and it was Mexican female, and then she changed Chicana to Latina as well in the verse, because I wrote her half her verse, and then Chulo, her boyfriend at the time, he wrote the second part of the verse. And what that was is, I don't know if that was a record label call or the radio station, and I want to say the record label was in cahoots with the radio stations at the time. So that time the radio stations would say, well, you know, we switched this up, that you know, or maybe we could play this, or we can't play that, because they were very hesitant, because it was like rap was just barely new on the mainstream radio. So it's like they didn't know what was going to cause controversy or whatnot. And so with that being said, so they ended up making a change from Mexican to Latina. And I think what it was is just to make it more broader, as using the word Latin, and it covers all the Brown brothers.
That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure if there was a crazier story, but I had a feeling it was a record label type story to maybe
that's dope that you pointed that out. Right.
Yeah, unfortunately I lost that cassette. I still have the cover.
Yeah.
But I do not have that damn cassette.
right, man.
Yeah. Well, we got the cassettes. I got the vinyl, the original vinyl. The other one, because I think it came out in different times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, we love the music, man. So
that's why we did. That's why we ended up repackaging it, the whole album, and then fast forwarding to Sunday Afternoon, we ended up redoing that song as well too.
Can you tell me about that process too? Because that's another dope song, obviously a hit. And there's other ones. There's Homies, Hey DJ. There's a bunch of other songs. But can you tell me about Sunday Afternoon, how that came about? I mean, obviously it's a hit. Today you can play it anywhere.
So while we were concepting out the album, our manager was like, "Look, man, we need another hit, another oldie hit. We wanted to use this oldie," and he had a couple of samples in mind. And he says, "We want you can take these samples, Crystal Blue, Persuasion, and Just My Imagination, and flip them in a way to where you could write about. We're looking for that next Will Smith." Or excuse me, DJ Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince, Summertime. So we want you to write what y'all do, your culture at the park. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know you guys barbecue too. Talk about it. So that's all they needed to say, bro. Like, I was like, all right. So, carne asada, lamping on the grill. We had this and that. And what's a trip is that when we first recorded Sunday Afternoon, we had some wordplay too changes on that, because I think Bobby was talking about, DWT was talking about Super Sacco and Gin in his verse, and it was just alcohol in there, right? So on the newer version, which is the one everyone knows, yeah, it wasn't apple juice in that cooler. I'm sorry to say.
We all knew that, though.
Yeah, I think we all knew that. We assumed.
Right. And because remember, like, we were youngsters, so for us to talk about that, I was 17 when Sunday Afternoon dropped. So for me to be talking about alcohol, it didn't look right. It wasn't a good look. So, but everybody did their thing. Shiro came and just laced it. You remember on the original song, there was no hook at all, no chorus. It was just instrumental. And as soon as we added the fire, we're putting Shiro on the chorus and the saxophone, man, I just set it off.
That's some history. That's some music history right there, bro. Thank you so much, man. That is awesome to hear. Again, us being DJs, we play the crap out of the records all the time, and it's dope to hear the background story. And I'm sure there was a lot of struggles and things along the way. It wasn't just all happy times all the time. But it's something that you love doing, and I'm sure you're still rocking shows. You're still doing a bunch of different things. So, how did you transition into radio, and then how did that work out?
Radio, I got into radio in like 2000. The group had we took a little break from each other, like in 94, 95 or something like that. And I focused more on my production, D-Double, TX. Like you said, man, this is like a marriage, what I mean? Especially when you're put together. So we just decided to do our own things. We were still cool, but we were just like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. And then in 98 is when we came back together. and we started. We had a 2-album deal with Greenside Records, who were from Oakland, matter of fact. And that's where we put out the self-titled Lighter Shade of Brown album. And then If You Couldn't See Inside Me, which was our last album in '99. And so during this time, I was producing whatnot. D-Double was still touring. And then in 2000, I got that call, like locally here at the radio station. My program director was like, yo, man, remember that conversation we had 5 years ago where I asked you where you see yourself in 5 years? And you said, I see myself doing your job, radio. He's like, you want a shot? And I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So I was like, this is dope. You know, me and D, we got music again. Boom, we're going to get in radio, you know, just kind of work that angle with it. It'll be easier, right? Well, D decided he didn't want to go that radio route. He was like, man, I'm cool. You know, I'm just going to lay back. That's really not my thing. And so I was like, well, this is an opportunity, bro. I tried talking him into it. I go, bro, you don't understand. You don't know where this can lead to. Because I'm thinking syndication. I'm already seeing it far in advance, right? So then, so I ended up going solo in 2000. I remember bringing in the Millennium on the air for the very first time, cracking the mic. And yeah, dude, I had a good 22 years in radio after that. I did radio for locally in the Inland Empire, here at my local radio station, to ending up on Kiss FM in Los Angeles. For those that don't know, that's like it's like market number 2, man, in the country, where you're like handpicked. It was really dope. I did some radio up in the Bay, as a matter of fact, a couple of years prior to my exit out of radio this year. I was on Wild 94.9 doing Sundays there for a moment. And then that was it. I think at the end of the radio career, 22 years, man, I think what it was is the company decided to go in a different route. And radio had been changing anyway. So here we are today, man, and I'm starting my new platform. It's the Blackout right here. Boom. That's
dope, man. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And, we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely, bro. So when I got out of radio, I was like, okay, podcasting obviously was already a thing, catapulted during the 2020, the pandemic. And, I kind of got a little late start on it. I had another podcast that was started during the pandemic, more on the parenting side, fatherly side. It was called Different Shades of Dad. But I just had a few runs after that, and I had to pay. Really, I just didn't stick with it because I was trying to, as you know, the gigs went away, the tours, all that stuff. So I had to find another way to bring in money faster. So I paused for the cause on that, revisited when I exited radio, and I decided this is where I need to be, my own platform. And I took about 3 months, and we recently just came up with the concept. I was like, well, what better idea to have on my platform than start off with the birth of Lighter Shade of Brown? And that's like from the beginning, such as what we're talking right now. And, we get more in depth, and I bring in the producers. I bring in my old school manager who concepted the group, just everything, road stories, you name it. It's like an audio book, but it's a podcast is what it is. And so week by week, we have a new guest, and that's what the first season is about, the birth of Lighter Shade of Brown. So looking forward to that. And then after that, we'll fall into, just keep it hip hop, man, keep it music related, local news and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, man. It's right here.
That is super dope, man. I like those logos, man. They look pretty clean.
Thanks, brother.
I do logos myself, and those are really clean.
You know what, bro? I shit you not, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can cuss.
Yeah, sure.
But on the way we came up with this, I designed that myself. Nothing fancy. I get it. If you're a holographic designer to look at it, hey, I was at the point where I had really no money. I was like, man, let me just crack on this, see what I can come up with as a simple concept. I started showing it to some people. What it means is the Blackout comes from, when we used to record sessions, right? Manager would say, yo, man, we got studio next weekend, man, 12 to 8 a.m. because they were usually overnight. We'd call them blackout sessions. So we got a blackout. So that's what that represents right there.
That is dope though, bro, because that's kind of like, I guess maybe analogous to like putting your feet to the fire. Like, hey, we got this blocked out. You got to basically deliver, right? You're going to the studio there's the studio time, and when you're on a budget at that time, when you're just starting out,
yes,
you have to make it happen. And so
yes,
it's very, but you did, you know, again, everything worked out, and it worked out for a reason. What you guys did was so dope, so influential. Like I said, however many years later, you can still rock it at the club. I mean, it's dope. So I mean, that's really, really dope. And I love the idea of your podcast. And by the way, no, those are clean, man. Those are clean logos because you can tell them apart and they look very, very clean. So props on those.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
So yeah, man. One thing I wanted to ask you, you kind of alluded to it. So the birth of Lighter Shade of Brown. How did you guys come up? How did the name come about? The Lighter Shade of Brown concept, because that was also very key, obviously, to the success, I think.
Right. So that was concepted once again by my manager at the time, Cliff Ritchie. And he just one day he called me on the phone. He's all, I got the title, I got the name of the group. And I was like, what is it? He said, Lighter Shade of Brown. And I said, wow, that's kind of long, don't you think? And he was like, well, let me explain. He's all, there was an old rock song back in the day. Can't remember if it was a rock song or a group. And they were called Lighter Shade of Pale. So he basically took that concept. I don't know how, whatever he did, he saw, you know, a light bulb went on inside and he decided, hey, I'm going to take this, twist it a little bit. And both of you guys aren't as exactly, you know, moreno. We're not like the darker Mexican Chicano, but we're lighter. So there's where he had, it was that simple, bro. Lighter Shade of Brown.
No, I think it's a dope concept, bro, because, and I think honestly, almost like subliminally on a subconscious level, me being a Latino but looking more güero, it spoke to me also, and it spoke to a lot of people because we all come in different shapes and sizes and whatnot,
right,
in different colors. And so to me, back in the day, it was also inspiring. You know, you see a fellow Latino, you know, doing good and doing something, you know, positive, and you know, it's also inspiring in that sense. So
absolutely.
That is really cool, that story, man. I always wondered about that. You know what I mean? Because
that was it.
That's really cool.
And then we grew into the name because obviously I was like, man, that's super long, dude. Like I was all, that's way too long. Radio ain't gonna say that. That's too long to fit in the little sleeves at the warehouse, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm curious. I don't know if you could talk about this, bro, but I'm curious if you guys, because I've been in those conversations for other things. And sometimes when you're kind of in the thick of it, you know, you're having a conversation about the name and you're kind of all talking about it. You know, I don't know if DTTX also was, you know, chiming in, or if he was like, I don't know, you know, and then it just ends up sticking. And then you're just like, well, we had faith and we believed in it and it worked out, you know? Or was there a lot of conversations about it? Or was it just like, okay, that's what we're going to do and that's it, you know?
Yeah, I don't really particularly know the the specific conversation. I just know that I want to say it was on the phone because D and I, we were always separate. Like he was at his house, I was always at mine. It was always phones back then, you know, landlines. Like the cell phones really didn't come in until like the next year or so. And so it was just one-on-one conversations on the phone, unless we met at the studio later on in LA. But I don't remember particularly how his thoughts were on it. I could just tell you mine. And I was like, all right, after he explained it to me, I was like, let's roll. Like even like my name before, like in high school, was Little R. And then that was given to me by my manager as well, which was ODM. And I asked him once, I go, what's this? He's like, man, it's just, he goes, you know, you at the time I was solo, it was just one. He goes, you dope and you Mexican, man, let's go. And I was like, well, let's go. I go, I don't care, let's get in the studio, man. And I just had to live up to that name. But that's really how it was. We were just eager to get in the studio and get out. And that was our passion. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be heard by the world.
Man, you guys definitely did, man. Like I said, your songs are, I mean, they still hit today. And I'm sure you're doing a bunch of shows. I see a bunch of flyers online. I'm always seeing, man, you know, it's so cool. Again, that's kind of what we started the podcast, to kind of breathe new life into some of these old school songs that we love and we grew up with. And it's not just us, you know, millions of people out there love them. So that's kind of the idea behind the podcast. Now I got to ask you one final question. Today's Taco Tuesday, bro. So,
yeah,
I gotta ask you about either your favorite taco spot or the best tacos you ever had.
Bro, if I had to pick, there's been so many throughout the years. Bro, I'm gonna say the taco spots, the taquerias out there in San Diego, Tijuana, bro. Hands down. Hands down. I don't know a specific spot. I couldn't tell you, and I do like Salud Tacos in San Diego, believe it or not. And it's right there in Logan, Barrio Logan. And it's a little corner spot right there. And it's really dope. The culture is fantastic, man. You walk in and just the art there that's on the wall and everything. And it's just, the tacos are badass, bro. So if I got to choose one today, it'd have to be that one.
We're definitely, we're gonna link to them and give them a shout out at the bottom of the video here, so people can check them out. So hey, I want to give a big shout out to Tony Vibes, man. Tony Vibes for linking us up, man. I really appreciate Tony Vibes.
That's the homie right there, bro. That's the homie. We kicked it in his backyard not too long ago, bro. He has got the man cave of all man caves. I'll tell you that much in his backyard, dude. Like, I'm jealous of that. I go over there, man, and just spend a whole weekend. I'll tell you that much. Now, but shout outs to DJ Tony Vibes. That's the homie right there.
Man, I heard some stories about tacos, turntables, and tequila to top it off. I don't know, man. I'm not going to say anything.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. But
if I don't remember, that means I didn't do it.
It didn't happen. Big shout out to Tony Vibes, man. Thank you so much, Tony Vibes, for linking us up, man. Appreciate you.
Respect.
And man, ODM, it's been an honor, man. Such a pleasure to talk to you, bro. And like I said, man, longtime fan, myself and Jason Gully. So thank you so much, brother, for giving us the time. I'm sure you're very, very, very busy. So thank you again, and salute, man. Much success.
Salute, brother. If I can push one more time, guys. If you want to know what's really going on, those behind the stories, I know we're only so much on here, I could tell, but you want to hear from the horse's mouth, man. Please, if I can ask you, do me a favor. Go follow the Blackout Podcast, available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, where all the podcasts, you can see it visually. And what's dope, V, is the Spotify now allows you to upload video. And I don't know if a lot of people knew that or not.
I didn't know that. That's dope.
So please check that out. And man, we'll see you in a town near you, man. Lighter Shade of Brown. We're still doing our thing. ShopLSOB.com for that merch. Salute.
I was going to say, man, one thing. ShopLSOB.com. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that also. So if you're watching this, make sure you check that out. I'm going to link to it at the bottom also. ShopLSOB.com. We got all the dope merch, Lighter Shade of Brown merch down there. ODM, thank you again, brother. Really appreciate you. Salute, man. Much success. Sir. Thank you.
Make sure you check out the links on YouTube. We got links to the shop for the One Stop DJ shop, which is what I represent. We got links to good tacos. We got links for mix show drops. So yeah, just check it out. And also, most importantly from you guys, this is what we need. We need you guys to do this. We need you guys to hit subscribe and hit the bell. So hit subscribe helps us grow the channel. You hit the bell, this sends you an email when we put up a new podcast. So it gives you a heads up, so that way you can go in there and check it out and get the information that we're giving behind the scenes, like with artists that we're interviewing. So yeah, Tacos and Turntables. It's me, Jason Gully, and Vicious V.